brought up some bees, and I've got silicone curing here and the aluminum flashing on the bottom. One of the things that I've decided is not to attach the baffles to, what you can see in there, there's just barely a gap that we're looking in, and barely a gap for them to come in and out of. What I've discovered is that if you attach the aluminum flashing to the bottom board, it will bow, it will move around, it will create gaps. And as we know, the hive beetle, the small hive beetle, will exploit every gap that you have. It could be a small, tiny little crack. And guess what? If your hive beetle population is large enough, if you had a massive infestation, and mind you, this was a double queen colony, it absconded. Powerful, strong, lots of bees, lots. I mean, it would make a you know what out of most colonies that people would call production colonies, and make a joke out of them. And the common saying is, have a strong colony. That's the best way to deal with hive beetles. Well, guess what, people? This is probably this probably was the strongest colony I've ever seen. It was massive, and here we are, starting from scratch. So, at any rate, hive beetles will exploit any opening whatsoever. So what I've discovered is, if you put the flashing and staple, as you can see, I've stapled it to the bottom board and stapled various, staples there. But you can see it's not attached to the top box, or the box that's sitting on top of it. I found that is not what you want to do. Okay, because the top box here, or the box that's sitting on top of the bottom board, is where the bees will live. So if a beetle comes through, let's say, and there's a bow in here, which there was, comes through a little bow in that aluminum flashing, guess what? It goes right into the kingdom of bees. Nice entryway, and it will tell its friends, and boom, there we go again. Problem. So instead, if you attach the aluminum flashing to the first box that will go onto the bottom, you have a much better seal from the hive beetle. So anyways, you also run into the issue of each level, each box. You see this has propolis, but in random spaces, random parts. And every time we break it open as beekeepers, of course, we create opportunities for invasion of parasites such as the hive beetle, because it has to be repropolized. So, in between the boxes themselves, little gaps. And when I say little gaps, I mean stuff you can't see yourself with the naked eye. I mean things that, little irregularities in wood, right? So anyways, just showing you this process. This stuff should cure in 30 minutes or so. We give it a rest. These are really, these nucleus colonies, they need to go in, but they will need to be fed. They're not boomers, but they are doing well with laying queens. And we'll get this thing rebooted. That's pretty much what I call it, rebooting the hive that has gone down. So these are filled with queens that I mated earlier in the year. Now, since the lids that I've had for these nucleus colonies have been butchered and turned into queen excluder / lid hinges, I will be using this polycarbonate to make a lid that will be able to be sealed off from hive beetles. So I'm just going to trace the outline of this, and doesn't have to be perfect. The idea is to create a hermetically sealed, as much as possible, type of hive, so the bees can flourish in there. They'll propolize, they'll reorganize and grow to good numbers, and hopefully keep the beetles out of there. So let me go ahead and do this. I'm gonna I'm just taking the outline and I'm going to cut this out with a razor. So, all right, end up getting something like this, right? And then with this, what I'm going to do is either, well, I'm going to tape it down. I just want to be sure, and you could weigh it down. There's another one. Okay, you just use the previous piece. You can cut it oversized a little bit, so not pretty, everyone, but it will get the job done and kind of give me that peace of mind so that these colonies build themselves up in time for the Northeast Florida winter. One of the things I wanted to point out is I made a mistake. It's not polycarbonate. Nope, it's propylene. So, but it is called chloroplast, which is kind of weird. But anyways, that's that. Okay, I got the first hive in there. As you can see, there's an inordinate amount of beetle, better beetle blasters in here. And, you know, they're just baited with Crisco, some sort of oil, and beetles go in there and they meet their doom. So hopefully, if there are any beetles left, these bees will push them in through there. A lot of them. I'm just getting sick of having abscons, and I got to get these guys through the winter. So time to really knuckle down on that. And the rest of them, there are little beetles here and there inside of the box remaining, so I'm going to have them from this box naze a knob over to this box, communicate and get them to walk over, fly over, hopefully. Cardboard nucleus boxes. Well, if you're up far enough north and you don't run into hive beetle issues, you can get around them, or if you just need one or two, perhaps. Because even with the glue gun, see all these little crevices? Hive beetles love that stuff. And they will make a home in there. And you will have hive beetles just waiting to pounce. So, unfortunately, there are drawbacks. And if you use a glue gun to fill up all the spaces, it may be good if you're just doing one or two, but more than that, it does become somewhat cost prohibitive. And okay, let me get this sealed up. I do have the rest of these boxes that are going to go on top without any frames drawn at all. I don't want to have wax moms or anything like that come in there and try to take advantage of the empty space and low number of bees. So what this will be used for is to dock a feeding bucket of some sort or feeding bag inside of the colony. All right, let me get it together, tape it up, get the top polypropylene chloroplast taped up, and that is hive 1 back online. Two steps forward, one step back, two steps forward, one step back, 3 steps back, a half a step forward. I hope you have a backup plan. Until next time, work with nature, not against it. Bye-bye.